Nightmare and Chief. Welcome to everyone who's watching the stream. I'm sure we're in for a really good game. I'd like to obviously thank Gotta Dingy for hosting the stream with us. Dingy, I'd like to welcome you to the chat.
Thank you.
And I'm Great RU is going to be the room mod tonight. I'd like to welcome you as well.
Thank you.
And last but not least, and by no means an unfamiliar face, Anarchy. Welcome to the room.
Oh.
Although you haven't joined, but...
Yeah, I'm working on it.
And then we were looking
Slow.
to have a fourth member in the commentary booth, which is Nightmare's very own leader, Sinister Phase. But he's driving home, so if you're watching it, stop watching it, drive home safely.
Yep.
Yes, be safe, face.
Stream and drive.
Alrighty, so we have 2 minutes left on the timer for the team to pick their tanks. So for those of you who don't understand what GTL is, those of you who are new, GTL is a Global Tanks League, founded by Sinister Phase of Nightmare and myself, 19, from Chiefs. And it is, as it says, Global Tank League. So there are 3 divisions. There's NA Champions League, which is what's kicking off tonight, the Intermediate League and the Pro League, which have already kicked off. And then you have the European side as well, same format, Champions League, Intermediate League and Pro League. And it's based on encounter mode, 10 minutes, and it's an 880 format. There are a couple of restrictions in there, and that you're not allowed more than 2 TDs, and you're not allowed more than 2 of the same tank, so 2 IS7s, 2 57 heavies, and so on. Close my door without making a noise.
It's also 8v8, if you didn't mention that. You very well might have, but...
Yes, so 8v8, 880, meaning 8 tier 10s, for those of you who don't understand the format. And yeah, where have I? I've lost my controller. This is a great start.
You gotta kick that Johnny1227, and then I believe they are probably good to go. Everybody's got tanks picked.
Slade is clearly trying to get in on some competitive action.
Nothing wrong with it. You gotta start somewhere. You might as well start on the coattails of another team.
Exactly. And that's not a bad tank to pick either, to blend in.
It almost worked, to be honest.
Nothing will work with Anarchy's Hawkeye around.
I'm wearing my glasses. I'm taking this seriously. You better believe I'm playing for keeps. Nobody's getting past me. Yeah, this is interesting.
Right.
I already like somebody busting the Artie out. Honestly, not that surprised. From north, the Artie is safer a lot of the times. Because from south, they've got to make a bit of a run, you know, to like K1 to be safe. And if you go to the forest, you can pick the Artie, especially like a CGC. So like them from north, not that surprising. Which, I mean, not a whole lot you're going to do on this map. And it only furthers the fact that they're either going to turtle the forest or turtle the 1-2 line with the Artie sitting in the respective corner. And that's what Super Conquerors are for. And they're obviously bringing the mouse just to be a block of hit points. And the patents are also there to be held down, and the E4 is just, you know, the E4. Nothing else needs to be said about that thing.
World of Tanks' very own version of the greatest heavy tank in the game, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah, okay, so they're turtling 1-2. They're going to put the Artie, you know, A1, 2, or 3. The only thing that's going to hurt them, I would imagine, is they don't have medium tanks to screen as well. Like, they have, what, 1 bat chat? Which means he's going to be a busy boy trying to keep their own bat chat and then, you know, double 50B from finding poke shots to bleed either their heavies or, God forbid, find the Artie.
That was absolutely crucial. I don't know if you saw that. Kaiser.
The mouse getting
the bat
farmed.
Chat. Yeah, mouse absolutely farmed, but Kaiser managing to push that gun carriage out of sight of Ivy stocks. who only managed to
Well, the
spot,
thing
I
with
think,
the
maybe
Artie
4.
is they're down a tank, right? Like, they're technically playing 7v8, and so if the Artie can't contribute at least, 2,000 or 3,000 damage, it's got to get made up from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a big luck. I mean, all it takes, though, is CGC lands one shot on a 50B, and they're up a whole tank, right? Like, if they hit one of the squishier guys, they're up a whole tank. But if the CGC, if RNG is saying no thank you, then you basically are playing a man down. But I like what they're doing. They're just spreading the Super Conquerors, letting them do what they do. The Mouse has got to play a lot more safe than he probably wants to, because he's already down to 14,800 HP.
Yeah. Where is the Auntie has fired. Did he manage to connect on anyone? I think he might have there.
They're actually playing the Bat Chat more passively than I would have expected. They're playing him as more of like the artillery guard instead of a forward scout. They're letting their heavy tanks be the guys that are actually going to do the spotting, and the Bat Chat's just there to make sure nobody bum rushes the Artie.
Yeah. I mean, Nightmare have given up complete map control on this, but they do have the artillery until he gets spotted, because they are pushing up.
That dip the CGC is in, even if he does get lit, it's actually not free shots. Like, that's why Artie is taken from north, because he sits in that bowl, and it's really hard unless you send a tank in there to actually get him. Artie just fired. I don't know. I didn't see it hit. Boxhound just took a double tap. Took an E4. Yeah. And the thing is, you want those 50Bs on the ridge. Like, now they have 10 degrees of gun depression. Like, they can work those ridges so effectively, but that E4 is in a great spot to say, no thanks to that, and just smack them.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ella just
Chief has actually bled really badly.
And are in a great position to just farm damage.
I was paying attention to the 50Bs by cap, and I didn't realize, like, the IS-7s and Super Conquerors on the other side, like, what happened to them? God dang, how are they getting poked down so hard?
I think Boxy's going to go down here if they can get that final shot.
Yeah, Kaiser's got to be careful not to overcommit, but he picked it up. Because Rated M was coming around, he could easily clip Kaiser. If he was a second earlier, he could have just perma-tracked him, potentially. But now Triggered is here to box with the 50B, which is, we'll see how that goes. Artie fired, misses hatchback. Just short. The name of the game with Artie is for Nightmare to play as slow as possible. The more times the Artie fires, the higher probability of them evening the game and getting a big lead. So N has got a hit point lead, but they've got to be careful. Just keep the artillery gun in the game, let it get its reload in, and sling those big shells. And, I mean, if he gets another score, if he hit, direct hits the Super Conch or something, like the one that's full health, or like the 50B or the WZ, then Chief is broken. Because they no longer have any hit points anywhere to hold up against a push.
I mean, right now, the only one on Chief not to take any damage is the Super Conch and Mystical Ben.
Yeah,
Everyone
and
else
Decisive Power is the only other guy with actual HP.
Yeah.
Because Rated's a 3-shot.
And he's at a 50B, which is not the most robust.
Yeah, made of paper
Magma,
mache.
if he gets splashed with heat or a high explosive round, he's done.
Yeah, the Mouse on the right, Null Trooper should just load HE and try to splash Magnus turret, just to start whittling him down. Because, I mean, at this point, Chief really can't push. Like, they've got to realize that the Chief can make actually no pushes. So they've got to just try to hope that Nightmare oversteps their bounds and gets farmed for it.
I mean, they're sitting with a 21% health pool deficit.
Chief's getting ready to stack up and do something here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not.
Oh, you know what they're doing?
Yeah.
They're
They better
stacking
not
up to
stay
allow the Artie
grouped.
to land a 1,500
Yeah.
bomb. And
Yeah,
it's the Super
on all
Conqueror
of
for
them.
500 and 1,100 undecisive power. They played right into their hand. They let the Artie get out there. IB Stux is running away. I don't know what the draw rules are, but he's either trying to find an angle or maybe run away in the event of a push, but looks like he's finding an angle on cap, potentially. Gotta be careful.
So, I mean, as it stands now, Chief need to get another tank out for it to be considered
Oh,
a
okay.
draw.
Perfect.
It will go down to most tanks destroyed, and if it's a draw, there's no points, no replays. It goes to the next game.
Looks like Dojo's gonna hard poke Magna to get him out. Should get the kill. Oh, bounces. That hurts.
It's either RNG or a misplaced shot.
Yeah. See, there's
But he
nothing
does
wrong
get
with
him
that.
out.
Dola
Dola
didn't miss
going
that
for
time,
the-
though.
Going for the hard poke and, taking whatever punishment they're going to give you just to get a gun out, but it's unfortunate he bounces that, but there wasn't really enough guns left on Chief to make him pay too badly. Then Kaiser's going to come in, clean up hatchback, and then Mystical Ben is just going to dig his heels in and do what he can with his 2,400 HP that he had left, but it's not going to be enough.
Wow,
Because you see the
Nightmare's actually
numbers.
looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, I mean, credit to them. They came out with an obvious game plan with the artillery and made it work. Chief really played into their hands by stacking up in one corner.
Honestly, like, depending on the arty's numbers, obviously I have no idea. I mean, if he did like 5k, then, you know, okay. But I honestly think Nightmare didn't win because of the arty. They won in addition to it because they were poking down their heavies super efficiently, even when the artillery wasn't landing its shots.
Already put in 3,200 damage.
Yes, okay, that's good, but, you know, I wonder if it was more of a mind game than anything. It's not bad on him, though. Good damage.
It was that
I mean, he got 1,500
nice,
of it in one shot.
Yeah, it was that nice little damage spread between 5 tanks he evened it out
so
on.
I honestly would argue that the artillery didn't hard carry that game because we all saw the 1,500 shot that he landed, but the game was already pretty much won by that. So that means he only did 1,000 damage previous to that, which means Nightmare made up the rest of that damage on all their other tanks.
Yeah.
And their E4's only
Yeah,
shot was the one we all saw in the
it was
50.
perfect. It was perfectly even spread between
Yeah,
Nightmare's lineup.
If anyone
Agreed.
ever wondered if the mouse was still relevant in comp after its recent nerfs, you only have to look at Clone Guy taking 20 shots and bouncing 12 of them for 4,600 blocked.
and that was the mouse also getting into position with half of the hit points that it should have because it's a slow tank, and you know Chief took advantage of that. Imagine if that guy got there with 3,000 HP, he would never have died, and they could have pushed that side that was weak way sooner.
So, Nightmare coming out with the first round, 1-0 to them. Remember, Nightmare are the home team tonight, so this is their map choice. So we're going to switch over sides now, and great, whenever you're ready and they're ready, let's get the timer rolling.
Yeah, like I said, I would make the argument that artillery is maybe more psychological than anything because, I mean, I think Nightmare won that without the arty, and it just made Chief play a game they didn't necessarily want to play. They knew they couldn't sit back and play defensively themselves, so they had to aggress and put themselves, you know, maybe not in a place they had practiced or wanted the game plan for with the tanks they had, and so that's what Nightmare did. It wasn't one of those times where Arty has one-shotted 3 of their tanks and they win anyway. I mean, Nightmare just poked their guys down. No way around it.
I just caught the beginning of the game and I saw Chiefs didn't really set out anywhere. I think they wanted to figure out where Nightmare were going first.
Yeah, they got to know if they're going forest or 1-2 line.
Yeah, they were all in one way. They didn't really commit to either side, and I think that off the beginning set them on the back foot, and it was just allowed Nightmare to get into a position to farm, really, and that they did. They did that really well. They were just in position straight away.
I think also Chief came into that knowing that they were up quite a bit of HP because, like, they hadn't really taken a lot of poke getting there. Like, I think Kaiser put out a couple shots maybe and somebody else scored a shot, but they farmed down a lot of that mouse and they hit somebody else coming in. Like, Kaiser took 2 shots. So I'd imagine Chief was like, you know, they're up almost 2,000 HP. You might as well, like,
Timer started and they're starting to pick tanks. Sorry to cut you off there, Anarchy.
I'm great. Sorry, could you open the room, please? There's,
it's already opened and they've already got revered in here.
Okay, cool. Good. I'm just going back to reading all of my messages in Discord.
I'd imagine you're an in-demand fellow these days.
It's certainly not easy, I'll say that. And I take my hat off to anyone who has put on the community-run tournament. You kind of have an idea, but until you do it, you don't really know.
The thing I always liked about it is you never understand how much people need of helping until you run a tournament. Like, I know me personally, I have asked 19 about 30 questions plus or minus because I'm a lazy bum and I refuse to read through the whole rules, and if I do, I'll forget anyway. So I ask them my questions regardless if I've read the rules or not. And from my experience, it is an unfortunately common experience when you're running tournaments, is no matter how plain they are written in the rules, you will get questions 8 times a day minimum on very basic parts of it.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I've tried to be as accommodating as possible. We've had a lot of teams from the EU side of things who English isn't their strong point, and that's nothing on them. It just is what it is. So I've tried to be as accommodated as I can, and through the wonderful prowess of
Time zones
Google
too.
Managed to do a lot with them.
Yeah. It's always the hard part, is you have to include the EU teams, obviously, because they're not necessarily a majority, but a very healthy amount of the community, and I wouldn't really consider it a top-tier tournament without them, but it comes with its own set of challenges, because, you know, you can ask for everybody to have an English speaker on the team. People always say they do when they're just Google translating, which is better than nothing, but certainly not good enough a lot of the time for the more intricate rules and discussions and stuff. So it can definitely be hard to play around, especially if you don't have somebody that speaks the language, like using a translator.
I've noticed as well in just sort of unrelated sports, real world sports, if you ever pay attention to the sort of foreign players who are involved in that, they speak a very sort of basic version of English, and that tends to help as well. If you don't, you know, we take it for granted we speak English every day. So
Speak for yourself.
Eloquent,
You don't know me that well. You don't know what I'm into. I don't think I wonder if that is an actual. Are they allowed to deselect? Yeah, I was gonna say I don't feel like that's. I mean, is that serious, or can he drop that?
I'm not gonna lie.
Time's up. I'm running it.
Seen them run it in training before.
Interesting. Now the 261. I mean, obviously the AP rounds, right? Best tier 10 tank destroyer. You get hit for 1100 across the map. Can't do anything about it. Pens you no matter what you do. But on a map like this, I don't know if the gun arc is as good as you want to. Like the shot we saw the CGC land where he splashed the Super Conqueror and the WZ, from the same spot, the 261 could make that shot. It would not get over the ridge. It could only maybe shoot at the top of 50B turrets that are poking, and that's not a high quality shot. The CGC is nice because it's an orbital laser cannon that comes from outer space, so it can get over any single ridge and land on top of your tank every time.
So I'm just going to do a quick run here. So Nightmare have come out with 2 Chieftains, 2 Super Conks, 2 48 patterns, and 2 Batchats. That is a lot of PPM.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. Like that. Sorry, continue.
So Chief rolling out with 200 LT, 2 Bats, 2 IS7s, the Super Conk, the Chieftain, and the Object 261 artillery.
The thing that's interesting with Chief's lineup this time is when Nightmare ran it, they went all heavy. You know, they had 1 Batchat. But Chief, comparatively, is going relatively mobile. So instead of doing what Nightmare did, where they try to dig in to protect the arty, I feel like they're going to just try to screen to protect the arty. You know, you can't kill him if you can't get close enough to, right? It's not like they're going to hold you back with their sheer amount of armor and HP. They're just not going to let you get to where he is. And everybody knows where the arty's going on this map. If you don't see him in Forest, he is A1, A2, every time. Yeah. But if you can't get tanks close enough, that doesn't really help you, right?
Exactly. I think Chief are going to come and post themselves up just on the corner in front of the cap, keep the 2 Bats and the light tank out in the forest, and that will stop any push around the other side. For the
yeah, and they can pull the Batchats back, and the light tank can still spot, because he's so sneaky. Light tank's very hard to outspot. And the Chieftain is definitely not as efficient, you know, hull down as the Super Conqueror, because it's pretty squishy, all things considered, but it's hard to push into Chieftains. Especially like a double Chieftain, you will get actually melted in a couple seconds if you're trying to push on that. Will very quickly fall apart. But, I mean, they have Revered in the Chieftain. He's definitely going to pump out damage if they try anything. Oh, the Patton taking a bunch of damage. Took an arty shot, and he's getting shot in the back from the forest, it appears.
Really here, Nightmare need to realize that the 2 Bats and the light tank are on the other side, and they have an overmatch. I know the Super Conqueror now sniping, but they have a huge overmatch to push on this left side.
Well, the wisdom is always when you put a guy in the Super Conqueror's position, you really can't aggress on that side because he's so far out of it, he takes so long to rotate, but it's also incredibly hard to push your heavy tank stacked up with a guy right there because he's going to have the freest shots of all time the entire time you're pushing. So that's Chief's strategy, is a stronger defense with less tanks committed than Nightmare did. Which, I mean, appears to be working because Nightmare is indecisive at the moment, and they're not pushing, and they're bled hard already. And they've got a Super Conqueror on 1100, Patton on 400.
Not being able to spot these bats is what's making them weary.
Decisive just got spotted. They know where one is, but they don't know where the other one is. Oh, and Jesus takes a burn going over the hill. man. All the
I mean,
dice are coming up Chief right now. Everything that could go wrong for Nightmare is going wrong. Oh, and then he
and
takes
he gets
769 from the Artie. On the move. Balance game mechanic. Glad it happened. They're making the push now.
And then
They've
here
decided
comes
now is the time.
Boxhound. Boxhound's going to try and take a shot from the rear.
3 of them bounced off rated pushing that corner. That's going to cost him on the reloads. The Bat Chats are going to come in and really sting him. Artie's going to get a shot in about halfway through this. This does not look good
Heavy's
for
just
Nightmare.
have to hold off long enough.
This is a desperate push by Nightmare.
They had to do something with an Artie. If they sat there, they're just going to get farmed even harder, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just take a look at Mystical Ben. Like, that guy's just going to be literally holding his right trigger down, pumping damage into the side of tanks. Like, his gun is going to stay hot, and he's going to just start smoking people.
Real life, he'd melt his barrel.
The hit
Patton's a
point pool is
one-shot,
not even,
she's a one-shot.
but the number of tanks is, and actually Nightmare are up because of the artillery. Oh,
Yeah,
not anymore.
not going to make a difference, though. Chief went double
No.
Bat Chat on the Nightmares 1, immediately got him out, because, you know, Cheeses had gotten burned pretty good, so he was a one-shot. That gives them
Oh,
medium
Bob's
control.
taking a lot of damage there.
Dojo's stuck. I'm Offended is stuck. Like, see, now they've got to look at stucks at least moderately, but they also still have that Super Conqueror just pumping damage, and, like, that guy's going to have a good game. Mystical Ben has definitely farmed.
And he's still.
And now
full
Kaiser's
HP
got to
as
pay
well.
attention to the Bat Chat. Yeah, exactly. You can't pen him. He's perfectly hold down. And that used to be a chieftain spot before the Super Conqueror was a thing, but the Super Conqueror used that way better because he's never going to get penned. Especially because all people are going to do is be able to RBRT him.
That's it. That was a fantastic game.
Oh, that was a lot of
And I
fun to
think-
watch.
I think losing that first game definitely would have rattled a couple of cages in Chiefs camp, and it definitely would have.
Yeah,
made
look at that.
Nightmare
Mystical
a little
Ben,
bit more
3K.
confident.
Easy. Fired 15 times.
Only blocking
Revered
800
got quite a bit of
though.
damage out, too.
And yeah, I mean, Magna in the 261 only did 200 shy of, or did 200 more of what.
Yeah, he did more than the CGC did, actually, because the CGC did 2,500 last time.
Magna firing 6. I mean,
He only hit 2 shots. That's the scary part.
yeah.
I don't necessarily love that. Well, because he got the splash on the Patton because the side armor is so garbage that he hit him for 800 with a non-direct hit because why not? It's fun. And I imagine the other ones were just like directly hitting super conks, which probably don't take tons of damage from Artie, but a lot more than you'd like.
Yeah.
Gotta love playing competitively and still getting Artied.
So Chief wants Himmelsdorf Knight. South spawn
Yes.
first. So that's the same side they're on?
I will double check.
I forget.
now. Give me 1 second. All right, so Himmelsdorf Knight left equals north. So they need to be swapped.
Are these games best of 3?
Best of 5.
Best of 5. Okay, even better. And the spawn on this map matters arguably very little because they have to play both sides no matter what. Himmelsdorf Knight will be cool though. I haven't seen that map played in a while.
Chief have started to really bury themselves into this map. If there's one map that they would say they're strongest on, it would probably be this one.
Yeah, I'm honestly not a fan of it.
Would it be possible?
Sorry.
No one's
Somebody's
hearing
mic is
my lovely
crackling.
Voice.
There you go. Does somebody have a fan in the background or something? I hear feedback.
And that's
It's
sorted.
fixed.
They can upgrade some mics, that was some issues.
Yeah, we've all been there, unfortunately. Headsets are a joke.
No, I've actually got 2 fans right next to me. Sorry, guys.
Oh, don't worry about it. I get it. It gets hot in here. Happens.
So I don't know if this is anything to do with the first game, but I was just reading through the Chief Discord, and it seems like they were raging. they had no comms. Xbox Live doing what it does best.
Oh
Yeah. It is an unfortunate common occurrence that we have all had happen in scrims, and it appears to wait until the most inopportune moment possible. And it's never in the lobby, right? It's always as you're loading in, the party drops. Never happens during a time you can fix it.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, I saw one of the teams we played, like when we played
I'm
this
great
on...
you put decisive over as well. Sorry,
when this
Anna,
map...
keep going.
Yeah,
No,
I was just
that's
saying
more
who I
important than
was
what I'm
missing.
saying.
Thank you,
When
19.
they were doing the Xbox tournaments, the ones Wargaming ran that, never worked or whatever, that everybody loved, we played a team one time during it, and Himmelsdorf Night was a map, because why wouldn't it be? And they took... It was like 2 50Bs and 2 bat chats, and from the north, they ran up and put, I think it was double bat chats at like G0 on their side of it, cap side of it, and then the 50Bs on the other side of, I think that is like, what, E8 around the castle, and then like 57s or heavy tanks poking the cap side, and it makes it very hard to push, because you can't really poke the bat chats without the 50Bs cracking you. And then once the team gets their E4s up there, then it's even, more de-incentivizing to push. And so, like, a strat like that I actually found very interesting. And if I ever played this map, which unfortunately I'm going to have to, because in the tournament, would be a strat I would look at, because it's pretty slick.
This map throws up... look, there are a lot of... there are a lot of strategies you can run, but ultimately it's a brawl at the cap. And there's a couple of strats that you can run to surprise someone, but the problem with that is it's a one-time deal.
Right,
so you have to save that. And the strat that is kind of, I think, young Murphy, big pants Murphy Mauler, was renowned for in Panda, was getting a bat and getting the bat to run up behind them, turn turrets, and just generally create a distraction.
Well, that's how like most games are lost on this map. When you don't lose like the brawl, like if you don't like actually just lose the the head-to-head battle, you get the old reach around, and that's what undoes you. Is they get 50Bs or a bat chat behind you, and then everybody starts panicking. Everybody's getting shot in the back. Everybody's very unhappy about it. And as soon as that happens, if you don't guard that back door, you're screwed. And it's much easier to guard from north than it is from south, because from south there's 2 pathways, so you've got to put whatever your screen tank is in a little more particular of a spot. From north, you only just have to have covered the 0 line.
Yeah. Yeah, I was helping out a relatively new clan the other night, and they got their spawns mixed up and ran that strat on the wrong side. And oh no! So I was saying I was helping out a new clan not so long ago, playing on Himmelsdorf Night, and they ran the bat strat from the north, I believe, and it just doesn't work. Their plan was to shoot up the alleyway down the B line, and they got their maps, their spawn points confused. So there's a castle conveniently placed in about H5 that just blocks any shots you have.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, not H5, K5. Do you want to FedEx me your glasses, Anarchy?
I unfortunately need them. If I don't have them, I won't even be able to tell you. Like, I had to squint as hard as possible to read the stupid grid scores when I was calling it out. If I FedEx them to you, I would have to stand up and, use my eyes on the screen. Very uncomfortable.
Sit there and be like freaking Albert Einstein, sit there hugging the freaking blackboard.
Exactly. It would be no good for anybody. Nobody wins in that situation. But honestly, I think this map, like, if you play the regular one on Encounter, it's a pretty unbalanced map, because all that happens is whoever has north spawn just actually turtles as hard as possible on the A line, because there's those 2 windows that, like, what is it, A5 or whatever, that IS-7s can become invulnerable in, and they sit people in the hangar, and it becomes, like, super unfun to play, because you can't cap, because it just takes 1 tank to spot you to reset, and so the map can't really play it on standard. The night one is also pretty bad. Like, it's just a very not great map.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, the Himmelsdorf Night encounter, the cap is up at the top on the 0 line, up at the castle. So there'll be a lot of action up there. Like they're coming out with those 2 E4s. That's a lethal combination.
I thought
It
they couldn't
is,
run
but
2 of the same TD.
You
No, they
you can
can.
in GTL though.
Oh,
You
okay.
could only have 2 tank destroyers, but they can be the same.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But two of any identical tank,
I'll allow it.
All right. So
which makes it real interesting, and I actually like that format because you see a whole new variety of tanks coming into play.
So
Yeah.
Nightmare are coming out with 2 Chieftains, 2 Superconks, 2 5As, 2 E4s. I like the symmetry there. And Chiefs, did I see a Grill 15 in that lineup?
I did, and I am interested. I mean, it has the gun
You-
depression,
you
right?
did.
Like, maybe they're going to use it on the edge of the hill? I don't know. Hopefully we find out, though.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but I know what's coming. And I think you may like it, Anarchy.
Yeah, in my mind, there's 2 things they're doing with it. Either it's going to work the hill, or they know a spot that it can sit and shoot onto the hill.
No,
And it appears as though it's going to be
the Grill
hanging
15
out
staying
to
on the
shoot hill.
tracks.
Yeah, okay, that's not that weird, because, I mean, I guess that means that
So
Nightmare
that means
can't work
he
the outside of the
must
castle.
not be going too far of F3, F2 right now, F1.
You gotta be careful. Nightmare's holding back 2 tanks. I don't know if they're too scared to cross, or if they're there purposely, or if... Did he just hit that on the move? Did you see
No.
that?
He stopped me.
Magna stopped.
Okay, it wasn't-
He
God,
stopped
okay.
briefly.
Okay. Thank God. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I heard the gun go off, saw the damage. I was about to start raging if he just snapshotted that.
No,
remember what I
he
was
stopped.
saying,
He
Anakin.
stopped briefly, made the shot, moved, and he also got hit by the Grill 15 as well.
There is.
Now, 19, is that made to hold, like, whoever gets the bad spawns? Is that a common occurrence that people get railed and can't cross?
So in essence, from what I've seen with this, and this is what I was telling you about, you can only run a surprise strat once. She
Right.
pulled this out before in a scrim with Nightmare, where the Grill 15 basically would go up into the B3 line and shoot at the tanks making the move up the hill. Nightmare,
Yeah.
having seen that before, knew what was going on, which is why they kept their tanks behind.
Ah, makes sense. Yeah, because the grill's
counter
fast
it.
enough, it would run down the tracks, and whatever tanks got the rearmost spawn would take a big one in the engine, trying to get up the hill.
Exactly, yeah. Turn the
Okay.
turrets, cause panic.
They're slower up the hill. Chief beats him
Yeah.
to the hill, gets the better
Ooh.
positions, because the south is slower to the hill, if I remember correctly, so they don't get to that the rubble pile as quickly.
Now this is interesting. This is where Nightmare may have learned from mistakes in bygone games. But it means that they are going to have to admit they can't just hold down their own Chief will count them out.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, too, Nightmare should technically have an overmatch on the hill, but because they let 3 of their tanks get pinned, they don't. Like, if they had just, sat 1 tank back there, whatever, they could just push the top side, but they
That's
committed
where they
really hard
noticed the
against that
overmatch
gorilla.
though. Down there, and they're making the push on the Grill 15 and the 50M.
Yeah, well, like Ops said, though, this game is going to be won on the hill. Like, if these guys on the hill don't reset, they lose no matter what those guys down there do.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yep.
Chief is triple capping,
Magnet takes
and they are
down
under no
the
obligation to
North River
trade.
and his chieftain.
Dojo's
Yeah,
low,
so-
too. This is actually not even, like, turning out that well for Nightmare. Like, they're paying for this pretty dearly to take out 2 tanks.
And I think Chief
Because
is
Magna's
moved
gonna get
across,
another
so-
shot. Oh, he tracks, but he didn't get hit for either, so. As soon as Nightmare
Magna
tries
is
to
gonna go
reset,
down.
they're gonna get double 57. Yeah,
I think here.
but I mean, they only have 20 seconds.
Mommies? What? Mommies?
Oh, I got an HE. I think somebody HE'd one of them. I don't know
Magna making
why
that shot count.
whoever just poked, whoever's low on HP, I think it might have been rated. Yeah, he'd be getting, 2 lashes. There's no reason to poke that when you've got the 57s where they are. Like, no amount of damage is worth that, because they probably would have just won by cap if he didn't poke and get HE'd.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. So that paid off for Chief in my mind. They had a tank out, but they haven't really capitalized on it because Nightmare made the smart play and kept everyone on cap.
Yeah.
Here comes the push to try reset the cap.
I'm offended might be able to break the cap. Oh, he gets tracked. Oh, that's awesome. Whoever put that shot in, it didn't necessarily save the game because Chief probably could have won it anyway. But I'm offended was 2 inches away from getting on the cap to break it, and somebody from across the way tracked him so he didn't have time. Stopped all of his momentum. Pretty great.
It's a magnet. The grill really paid off. 3,400.
That's pretty
from
funny.
3 tanks. So Chief.
Yeah, like I said,
coming
the only
back,
thing they
went
could have done
one down.
differently is
2-0 up
I don't
there.
think Rated needed to poke there because he got reset. Like if something worse would have happened, that would have been the time to look back on because he got HE'd. No reason to
Yeah.
poke that corner until they're pushing.
Yeah, I think the plan there was they were hoping that Nightmare would commit into the top of the hill, but they didn't. So Chief did the sensible thing, tried to line up across and cap out to force them out into it.
Yeah. That was actually a pretty cool strat. It was good to see, you know, like how the sausage is made, if you will, and you said that you guys had played them, used the gorilla. They got very sick of getting killed that way. So you got to see Nightmare, you know, basically got double faked, if you will.
Yeah.
Chief completely did something different than what they thought.
You know, and that's exactly what I meant by you can run a couple of surprise strats on that, and it will work the first time. Otherwise, if a team's worth its weight, it will learn.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said they needed to commit 3 tanks down there, though.
Yeah, right. Especially against a grill. When you load HE, you really punish the guy.
I mean, if that was the plan, I would have kept the 2 chieftains down there with the hash,
Right, yeah.
as opposed to the 5As, because the 5A's accuracy is not great.
Yeah. Agreed. I think, you know, Nightmare was like absolutely having none of it, and so they were going to make sure there was no funny business afoot, and in no way were they letting that gorilla do what it wanted to do. But in doing so, you know, went too far the other way. Because I think the same result would have happened with 2 tanks. Even if they don't kill that grill, they would have nullified 2 tanks, which is then makes it an even trade. Because Chief also had a medium tank down there. So even if you don't get the kill on the grill, you're still trading 2 for 2, which isn't the worst thing that can happen. And then the fight is always going to be won on that top side, no matter what the play is down there. And another tank up top side maybe could have turned it, or allowed Nightmare to play a little more aggressive or push a bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, there's a better way to counter that. I'm, for obvious reasons, not going to explain it. But I think, Anarchy, if you remember back to when the spawn was down in F2 and the infamous TNG turtle, I think you know the spot that I'm thinking of. And I think it would have allowed a sacrificial shot for that grill to go on reload, poke out, and just obliterate it.
What I would have done is ran a Sheridan and then given him a one-way ticket to find the grill, and that would have been his mission. Just give him the derp gun. It's all I have him for. Go find the grill and plant one in him. And then whatever happens, happens. That's all we need from you. Make it a 1-for-1 trade.
Now, I know something that Chief have been working on for this, and I'm really curious to see if Nightmare tried to pull off the same strategy against them. And I have a feeling it may be with 250Bs, and if that happens, I think we're going to see something special come out to play.
Is this something you've seen Nightmare do before?
Oh, sorry, Murphy. Big Pants Murphy Mauler. I didn't mean to get your name wrong, little child. Giveth and taketh. It's not something I've seen played. I haven't seen them play it, but it's something I've heard discussed a lot. Because, you know, when you see a good strat, you see a good surprise strat like that, people are going to use it because it's effective, it works. So you have to have a counter for it at the same time.
Yeah. The only thing with this is you can tell Chief wants to win because that strat's good with the grill, But now anybody that's paying any attention in this league in the same division as them, they're gonna know if they see a grill from south that it is going, not the way they used it there because they were trying to trick Nightmare, but you know what it's trying to do. It's trying to run up the 1-2 and shoot you in the back.
Yeah, you know exactly where it's going to be. It's not
And you
gonna
now
be on the
also
hill.
know the double fake. That
Yeah.
if you wait tanks, they might be trying to bait you. So you can tell Chief is respecting Nightmare and wants to get out here and win, because that's definitely a strat that, like you said, you can only see once. And if they try to use it against another team in this league, it will be to their detriment, because everybody's going to be paying attention to that now. So they're pulling out all the stops.
Nightmare leaving it very late, and there are the two 50Bs that I wondered about.
Chief has a pair of 50Bs of their own, though.
Be interesting to see where Nightmare plays them.
Is this them trying to grab you around the hill? Or are they sniping,
Yeah.
or what have you seen them
This
do?
this was the original format of that chief strat, was two 50Bs to go down into B3 and shoot at the tanks.
Oh,
going up the
really?
hill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the grill is a slightly adapted version to that, I would say.
Yeah, I'd argue the grill's better because it's one tank for a pretty punchy gun, and if they get bum rushed or there's a problem, you're not down two 50Bs, you're just down one grill. So it wouldn't be as
Exactly.
frustrating.
And it has the mobility and the camo factor
Yeah.
to it as well.
Oh, camo in quotation marks. Tank's not that skinny. One thing I do like about the grill, though, is after he goes up and does his business of shooting somebody in the back, my thinking has always been, after that happens, you go and put them at F2, F3, and then the team on the hill that doesn't have the grill can no longer use the outside of the castle. Like, they've lost outside castle privileges, because if they try to use it, they're going to get smacked by the grill. And that's something I'd much rather have a grill there than the 50B, because it's something that's only going to work once. You're going to get shot once, and you're not going to poke that again, probably. So I'd much rather see 750 pop up than 1-400.
So it will be interesting then to see if the Chief realise what M are going to pull, or are M going to double bluff them. I think M have double bluffed them and push the 50Bs up to the top, so they're not going to play the same strat Chief just tried to use.
Yeah, and Chief was holding their 250Bs back in the hull down area. That's actually pretty slick, because if Nightmare tried to drive past, they would not spot them till it was too late. Because they wouldn't spot them till they proxy spotted them. And then,
That was
Chief
what
is
I
going to
was
shoot the
explaining
first.
earlier, is if you were, that would be the counter to it, is to hold something there, wait for it to fire,
Yeah.
and poke out and just leave it. But this could really work in Nightmare's favour, because obviously we know that Chief don't. The 50Bs aren't coming, so Chief are essentially 2 tanks down in this hill push.
Exactly. That was the spot I was talking about earlier, that the reason why regular encounter Himmels is basically unplayable is due to the fact that if you put 2 IS-7s in those windows that you see, that Chief is right next to, you can't push from the top of the hill, and then you just put everybody else the other way, and it just makes it very unfun. Like, against a good team, it's almost an unbreakable turtle.
The
Yeah.
250Bs down below are out of position, but it won't take them long to hit the Foxtrot Echo 2 line and start putting in hill shots, or
Especially
even
once these
head up
50Bs
there.
get spotted out. Because if those guys move to the position you said they would have, they are very farmable. The Kyle and Dojo. Oh, the E4 bounces Dojo. That hurts.
And and Boxhound gets proxied as
So
he's
the
making
50Bs
his
right
cross.
here, they flew too close to the sun. They made a very aggressive play without support. The rest of Nightmare was not in position, so that means Chief got to pour over the top of that and actually only get hit by the 50Bs. If Nightmare was right where they are now, all the Chief guys would have died, right? Because they would have had all the guns looking at him. But Chief definitely recognized that speed was a priority, and that Nightmare was nowhere in position, so those 50Bs die for basically free, or very cheap. And now you got double 50B coming in to reinforce. And I mean, Nightmare's already down 3 tanks, with 2 more basically 3 full health tanks rolling to the front lines as we speak.
It's a shame.
Yeah, this isn't looking very good for Nightmare anymore. Chief kind of said, all right, we know Nightmare's a worthy team to worry about. We can't play them lightly, so they're bringing all the cards to the table and
Yeah, I mean,
not
this
letting
is
them
just
breathe.
turning into a farmer match now. I like what they did with Hatch though. Hatch is down on quite low hit points, so they've kept him a little bit further down to not get
Yeah.
focused.
Yeah, I definitely big ups to whoever's calling. I'm pretty sure it's rated right on Chief that he recognized that and immediately did it. He was not letting Nightmare get into position and was going to get those 50 Bs. Because if you make that call 20 seconds later, instead of that being, you pay for that with like 1200 HP, that's like a 4000 HP trade. If
That's
you make that call a little later.
That's like 3 tanks deleted.
Yeah. Because Nightmare had 3 or 4 tanks on that rubble pile, and if those guys were in position, including their E4, as soon as Chief tries to make that, 2 people are dying at least to take out 250 Bs. So yeah, great call to make that push then. I like that quite a bit. Also, Revered farmed a big game. I didn't even see him actually get up there. He must have been really putting the damage out. I thought he was late to the party.
Alrighty. And to see if we can maybe get a member from each team into the party. Bear with us just a moment. I think it's a nice touch at the end of the match to get some thoughts. Obviously, we can grill them, although to be fair, you pretty much analysed everything about it.
Hey, Anarchy. Can
Hello.
you grab those screenshots for me?
Yeah. Does it?
I mean, it's on
Yeah,
stream.
should.
Don't worry too much.
Okay.
Even better.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen what I needed to see as well.
I don't know. I'm probably
In
going to
terms of
dispute it.
the
I don't know if I trust it.
points.
Stream could lie.
So essentially, how the point system will work there is Chief will come out of that with 8 out of a possible 9 points because they capped the first game on Himmelsdorf night and didn't get the bonus point for destroying all 8 tanks. And Nightmare will still walk away with something in 2 points in that they won 1 game and destroyed all 8 tanks as well.
Oh, okay, very cool.
So it's nice to know that our loss to the 8th actually wasn't so much of a loss. We actually gained out of that one.
No, and that's the thing. That's what this is all about. It's a league. It's okay. You take each game as it is, but it's a cumulative thing. It's a long old season, and even if you lose a couple of games here and there, it's still not the end of your sort of push for a victory.
I played with a team during Clan Wars where it was not super similar, but a point system nonetheless. And that was the way I explained to them is we don't have to win all the time. We just have to lose better than the other teams. You can't win every single matchup.
Exactly.
There's teams that are going to beat you. So just lose better than everyone else is losing, and you'll get there. As long as you're not getting actually spanked, you just got to lose well. That's my motto in tournaments like this: is lose well, and that's how you get to the end.
Also, ALMD is a very young clan as a unit. I've had
interrupt. Dingy, would you mind closing the party and sending Clone Guy an invite? Let's get he's agreed to come in and give us his thoughts on that.
So take it out the stream, you're saying?
No, keep it on stream. I mean,
Oh,
I'd love to get his insight on the game and do post game. I mean, we only have the 1 game tonight, so we're not in the risk of overrunning.
Okay, it's invite only.
All right. I don't have him on my friends list. If you wouldn't mind sending him an
That's
invite.
rude.
I
You're
know
better than him?
there are so many people I do not have, which is not great form.
But yeah, definitely that'd be my biggest tip for any league format. That's what I'm doing this season is I'm going to lose better than the other teams, and that's how we're getting places. If we're going to lose, we're not going to lose bad.
And the onus is on winning, really, because even if you decide, okay, look, we know we're not as strong, we'll try and draw it out, you're not going to get any points for that. You're going to walk away with 0 points, so you may as well have just lost and at least tried.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's why it's important to be realistic. When you're looking at your schedule, don't overestimate what you can do and be realistic about your matchups. Know that, hey, we can beat these guys, so we're going to. But these guys, we probably can't beat them. Just flat out, we're not going to win against them. But we're going to try, something really tricky or something to take a round or two so that we score some points. Don't go in there defeated.
I have rated on my friends list, but he's marking himself offline. So I'm just going to invite Revered.
Report them. Well, yeah, you can still invite people that are offline to parties.
Yeah, we'll wait on Rated. I'd like to speak to Clone Guy first, and then we'll get Rated into the party.
Okay.
For those who know, will know, and it doesn't really need to be explained. Dingy, have you got him on your friends list? Would you mind inviting him?
I think I have Clone Guy on my friends list.
If only we knew somebody that was in the same clan as Clone Guy, that could give
I
him an
know.
invite. Anybody know anybody that's in
someone who was
Nightmare?
very good friends with Clone Guy.
I just invited him to the party. But we might get somewhere if Dingy does.
There he is.
There he is. The Null Trooper, otherwise known as the YouTuber Clone Guy. Welcome to the party. You are live on stream. Firstly, commiserations. It was a valiant effort. I really did enjoy your strat in the first game. That looked like it was pre-planned. Was it?
Oh yeah, we had gone over that a couple of times. And from that side of the map, we found that just turtling in with super conks was really the best way. Have a mouse on the outside, just drawing fire.
A man of few words.
CGC do its thing. And,
Yeah, I mean, and you really did pull in a lot of shots. You took 20 and bounced 12. And as Anarchy said, that was still when you were half health quite early on, but then managed to block more than your tank's worth in hit points afterwards. And that really gave the rest of your team, you were the sacrificial lamb as such, because it gave the rest of your team the time to just get in and start farming. I mean, there was one point where I think Chief looked like they were going to group together and try and push through and do something. And that CGC just had a field day with 4 of them all grouped together. So it was an arty player's wet dream, I would say. But
definitely, he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean, your thoughts on the game, I'd like to get it. Kind of, is there anywhere that you sort of felt you could have done better, or where you guys were sort of good? Kind of where are you looking to sort of go from here for the rest of the league?
Well, definitely we want to get better, want to improve. I think countering artillery on Moravanka is something I definitely want to work on. When they pulled out, we had a feeling they were going to pull out artillery because it worked so well on them. And so when they pulled it out, we were just trying to think, okay, how are we going to counter the artillery? And they had a super conch up in C1 who was just feasting on us when we made that push to hopefully get the overmatch. And we did have the overmatch, but then that super conch just feasted on us.
Yeah.
And so that's something I think we'd like to try to figure out how to counter that turtle on that map, that north spawn turtle, because it's a really easy side to turtle up on.
I mentioned that on stream, that the problem with that position was always the fact that you put a guy there, you can't push that side as the team with a tank there. But that's why it works so well with Artie, because they're in no interest in pushing. They're going to camp. And that is a very, very, very hard spot to dig a tank out of. And with the addition of the Super Conqueror, it only works better. Because at least the Chieftain used to be able to pen them, with high pen guns. But the Super Conqueror is even scarier there. Definitely something that people are going to have to look at.
Yeah. I think a counter to Artie would just play another artillery, make sure you don't lose the field. And then I guess turtle on both sides and see who's Artie's better.
Please,
yeah, and I think you made a very, very poignant point. Say that 10 times fast. Anarchy is that there's only 1 or 2 spots that the artillery is going to go. so it's not going to be hard to throw in one or two blind fires and take it out. I think countering artillery with artillery would make that a lot more interesting, because then it essentially just becomes a 7 versus 7 standard battle with seeing who can get the other RT out first.
The south side has a much weaker artillery position, and so, like Klungai touched on very briefly, if you don't play the forest very aggressively, trying to move an arty from the south, he's essentially a free pick, unless you're running like a Batchat arty, because it's very easy to go into the forest and spot him out with, even if he gets a good spawn, he has a chance to not even make it there. So from the south, you got to be a lot more careful than you do from the north. It's much harder to lose your arty from the north, moving into position.
Yeah, and then switching over to the other map, Clone, I saw you pull out the 250Bs on the last game, and I said that obviously we had scrimmed you previously, and I wondered if you were going to pull off the same sort of move down the B line, shooting up on the tanks pushing up, but you didn't. You pushed them straight to the cap. Was that kind of something you had learnt from in our previous scrims and tried to counter with pushing them up so aggressively at the top?
What we did with the 50Bs, that was my fault. What I wanted the 50Bs to do was get up there unspotted, get their 50Bs, because I had a feeling their 50Bs were going to work the lower area. So I wanted their 50Bs thinking. And so by setting our 50Bs up top, I figured, okay, we'll have 8 on 6 up there. And we'll just have our 50Bs in the corner, get our tanks up there and to engage. And as soon as they make a push up, our 50Bs will unload. I wasn't expecting them to get up so quickly, however, though, and so they were able to take out our 50Bs almost free. But
yeah, we talked about that on stream. It was just a timing issue. It was 20 seconds too early. I mean, it was a great play. 50Bs there, incredible position, but like your tanks were just a hair too slow coming up the hill, so there wasn't enough punishment to prevent Chief from just hard pushing it.
It's interesting actually, because before so go back and watch the stream, you'll see Chief actually thought you were going down low as well, and staged 250Bs out in I think it was A2, A4 even.
In the hold down area.
Yeah, before your 50Bs were spotted, I think they had sort of maybe had a premeditated game plan, and we'll find out in a couple of minutes, because their 50Bs moved before yours were spotted, and I think they knew they weren't coming there, so they sort of made a calculated push up top.
Yep. I think what we can do next time, definitely, if we decide to try that on someone else who hasn't seen the stream, I think maybe if we pull out IS-7s and 5As, I think the timing would be almost perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was what, again, I think I said it about 3 times tonight, is Himmelsdorf night, it's a brawl. That's where the action is. And you have 1 or 2 strats that you can pull out that will cause a surprise or change people's minds. But they're one-time deals. You really can't repeat it because people know what's going to happen.
Right. Maybe next time we'll just go waffles.
Nobody's ever seen that coming.
And we go into the field. They'll never expect it.
But yeah, Klein, I just want to thank you for coming into the party afterwards, and a huge congratulations to all of Nightmare. Those 4 games were absolutely fantastic. And kind of what we expected from the Champions League to kick things off on Global Tank League. So commiserations, but by no means were you guys the weaker team as such. You guys put on a hell of a show tonight for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. I think we've definitely learned a couple things, and I'm excited for next time because we have some new ideas.
Look forward to it. I think we'll definitely look to get some more of the Champions League games on show, and hopefully if we're not on too tight of a schedule, we can keep doing this as well. Just I think it's really important to give people kind of an insight into the players' minds, and obviously for those who don't know, the Null Trooper is Nightmare's caller as well. I believe that's correct.
As of recently and randomly, yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of got thrown.
one of many. Nightmares got a handful of callers, so.
Yeah.
And they're all pretty damn proficient too.
It does help. and you kind of need that. I think that really makes a huge difference between, say, the teams that are in the Champions League and the teams that are maybe in the Intermediate League. Is although you have one main caller, you still have a team of people who are making call outs constantly and kind of know what's happening and can see the game evolving. And that really makes a huge difference, because you see a lot of teams, they're sort of waiting. They're waiting for an order. They're waiting for a call. Whereas you want players who can react to what's happening.
Yep.
But no, Clone, we wish you all the best, and hopefully speak to you after your next game next week.
All right, thank you so much. You guys have a great night.
You too.
It's funny you mentioned that, 19, because I kind of noticed with my guys, they're kind of waiting to be micromanaged in a sense on how to play when I'm calling, which also makes it harder for me to focus on making the calls and playing my game as well.
Yeah, calling is by no means an easy task. If anyone ever wanted to understand what organized chaos is, try calling. It's you need to have something else about you to be able to do it. I've tried it.
The crap could hit the fan quick.
And I've learned it's not for me.
Scrim Panda a couple times as caller. It was a very unique experience, to put it simply.
Could have been worse. Could have been against a good team.
It is. I think
hard.
my first game I ever called, Anarchy, was against you. And you
Oh, really?
absolutely humiliated me. Back when I was still in Nightmare, I threw up the gauntlet. I said I'd like to call for a game, and I think we got 5-0'd.
Yeah, 'cause I used to call for DP like a decent amount. Like I wasn't the main caller, but I called a decent amount to do stuff. Every now and then, I've called, a time or two in my day.
But I
Definitely do not enjoy
learned
it.
from it. I learned I'm not a caller.
I always tell my guys that if they try giving their hand at calling and they fail at calling their first match, don't give up. Yeah, you're going to feel down about yourself, but use it as a learning experience. What I do wrong? What can I do to improve it?
I mean, that's what scrims are always for.
Where could I put my tanks to reposition them?
So,
who do I talk to become a better caller? I've talked to several callers.
I put an ad on Craigslist. That helps.
All righty. So, just like to welcome another voice into the party. That is of Rated M. Rated M, of course, the caller for Chiefs, the winners of tonight's game. So, firstly, congratulations. And I'm going to put this one out there. I don't think you expected the first game to go quite as it did.
No, I didn't. I had a strat planned out before I even came into the game. I had notebook and stuff down. I was writing down stuff, and then the arty actually threw me off surprise, so I had to improvise. I was playing for a quick spot on that arty, but I believe I haven't went back and watched the game, but I believe their patents pushed the arty out of there. To get him out fast enough, I'm not sure on that, but I
think it was a bat chat, but yeah.
It was Kaiser in the bat chat, and it was impeccable timing, really. A second either way, and you may have spotted him, but it was just
really. What really hurt us there is we bundled ourselves all up in one little 2 or 3 grid squares there, and they had the tanks with the gun depression to just come over and peek, and we were trying to focus on more or less if they were going to push or not. But that's kind of a similar strat that I believe we've ran against those guys before. We'd ran an RD against them and did the same thing. So, but yeah, definitely that RD threw me off guard. I didn't expect it, and I was pretty mind blown there. I was trying to get everybody out of the field as soon as we did, and I winded up putting everybody in the same spot. So I put that blame on myself. I winded up bumbling everybody up. I was more focused on keeping RD safe, and then those guys were able to just come out and shoot over on us.
We commented on it as well. When you guys went to group up to make like your ending push, 2 of your guys got on top of each other and took a nice double tap. Like one of the guys got hit for 1,000, the other one got hit for like 500 because they were so close to each other.
Yeah, that was devastating.
Super
That
Cocker
really
took
hurt
their
us
direct hit, and the 5A got splashed or something like that. It was very bad to watch. Made me so unhappy because already is fun.
Another thing that was bad to watch was that fucking artillery coming down and hitting 4 of your guys. And it's like, ouch.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I stay more focused on trying to see what's in front of me. You know, if my guys are getting hit pretty bad, they usually tell me, and I'll try to get them into cover. But in the second game, you know, I was like, well, you know, if they're going to run, you know, heavies this time, you know, let's give them a dose of their own medicine. And luckily, they didn't push on us as fast as they did, because I seen Boxhound in this T100. He spotted their tanks all going together, and at that point, I was bracing everybody for a push. So I called my bats in a little bit closer, but by the time they got ready to push, you know, Revered hit a good snapshot on their Batchat, caught him on fire for about 1,000. And then Magna was just able to whittle him down. So when they were pushing, we were.
There wasn't much of a whittle. There's the fact hit him on the move for like 850.
In those 2 shots, you took him down to 32 hit points.
Yeah, like he got the fire for a lot, and then as he was going over the ridge, Magna hit him on the move for like 830 or something. It was awesome.
Nice.
It was dirty. We definitely saw the balancing mechanic that is artillery tonight.
Well, the guy was camping. It's hard to feel bad for him. Like, try to move around some, you bum.
Play unsafe. But yeah, so
Exactly.
you guys went down in the first game. Obviously, you were talking about the second one there. Was there anything kind of, did you try, being in Chiefs, I know what it's like. We generally tend to lose the first game and then we get our act together.
Usually happens
Was it the
a lot.
same atmosphere as I'm used to?
Yeah, you know, I got a little bit frustrated. Part of that's on myself, and then, you know, so, and part of that's being unprepared. I need to prepare better and make myself focus on people running different things, because, you know, as people know, we are a pretty decent team, and, you know, besides Immortals, we're probably a favorite to win. So teams are going to try and bring out stuff against us that we wouldn't expect, and that definitely did catch me off guard. But after the first game, you know, everybody settled in, and I just told them, I said, if they're going to run RD next time, we're just going to counter them with their own bait. And, you know, that's what we did. Luckily, they didn't run it, and that's what I had Box in the T100 for. I was going to play for him to get a quick spot if they were going to try and run it again, and just play the lineup that I wanted to play. Luckily, it worked out. You know, Magna was able to get good shots in on those heavies before they pushed, so that really helped.
Yeah, I mean, in if you want to look at the statistics alone, the Anarchy was mentioning that the 261's gun arc may not have been the best choice for artillery, but it actually threw up 200 extra damage than the CGC. So it's,
yeah, I mostly ran it for the DPM is what I was going for. You know, that 22 second reload is almost two shots to the one of the GC. Yeah, you might get the one big, you know, 1400, or you could miss and get the 300 splash. But, you know, with the DPM and the 261, he can pretty much fire 2 to every one. And, you know, when they're running weak armored tanks, you know, like they were, then you're getting more damage than as you were running an IS-7 or something like that. So luckily it worked out for us. You know, I think if they would have pushed a little bit sooner and committed to the hard push they wanted to do, already might have been a little bit ineffective there, but they stayed back a little bit more and gave us a little bit more time.
Yeah, and so then moving on to Himmelsdorf, I saw the standard grill come out. Were you expecting them to hold 3 tanks back at the top?
When I came in there, originally my original plan was a 50B and a grill, but then I changed it up. I said, you know, let's play box for the spots and Magna stay behind. Magna got lucky and I believe he spotted the 2 tanks that were hiding back there, and immediately I said, we at least have a 6v6 on the hill that I feel that we can win. And then he spotted another one down there, and I'm not sure what Magna was doing then. He must have had the gods working for him, but he was just tearing those heavies apart. Like, they had a 3v2, and none of their tanks should have died. They should have collapsed on box, killed him, and then they should have just took the grill out. But I don't know what was going on down there. But Magna was eating those guys alive while they were trying to kill Box. I'm not sure, you know, I'm pretty sure they expected the grill to be down there. And, you know, with them expecting that, they winded up leaving tanks down there, and it created a disadvantage on the hill. And then luckily my 57s pushed around on the first game on Himmel's Night, and they weren't able to push up on the ridge because I think they were playing for us to do a heavy push on them through the cap. But luckily we had our 57s there, so if they were going to pull up, they were going to have to eat 2 57 clips, and then we had our 4 tanks staged back there to shoot them as they were coming up. So automatically we had an overmatch on the hill, and at that point it was either play for cap and make them come into us, and luckily they waited a little bit too long to push. But I feel like if they would have pushed anyways, we would have probably melted them because both our 57s were reloaded with all 4 of our other heavies there. So I think that game would have probably went either way for us.
I did see that from them, and I said in the party it was an interesting way to play it, because I think they knew immediately they didn't have the tank overmatch, and so they sat there. I think you guys obviously played that smart and forced them out. You had the kind of crossfire set up, like you were saying, with the 57s. And Anarchy actually pointed it out. It was, I'm not sure, I think it might have been Hatch or someone on the corner managed to get a track on one of the super conks or the 215B. I'm not sure if they had that. And that basically stopped that tank getting into the cap and resetting it. That was essentially the game-winning shot. But like I said, if they'd have pushed, you were set up to kind of handle the push. So it could have gone one way or the other. But yeah, it was a pretty crucial shot.
And then second game on Himmels, I expected them to run 50Bs. The only thing with that is how do you counter it? And, as we've seen, we started leaving the 50Bs down bottom. And, I said, we'll wait for about a minute. And I said, I'll poke out. If nothing's here, then we know they're on the top. So me and Box rotated out, and I guess their 50Bs tried to do what our 57s did. They came around right on the corner, and I believe Magna or Revere just called for a hard push on the 50Bs. And, of course, when you're in a 50B, you're not having time to aim in with your shot, so you're having an RB, and I think our heavies bounced a few of their clips, and we're able to
One of your
just,
E4 bounced off of them, too. One of your E4 snapped and bounces upper plate.
Yeah. But, it was good getting those 50Bs out real quick. They ate the clips and survived on pretty good hit points to be able to fight the rest. And then me and Box were able to come up on full health at about the right time, and we were able to just push around and take them out. It was a pretty quick, simple, easy game.
I will say, if we end up playing during this tournament, which we do, a gentleman's agreement, no, neither team plays Artie. Works for me. I want it in my games.
I like to shoot you in, Artie. We may have to specially design
Artie is just unfun, man. Not interested.
Not bad.
No, the games were a lot of fun to watch. That was a great way to kick off that league, like the Champions League. Like, couldn't have started better. The games weren't steamrolls. They were actually pretty even and competitive, which is what you're looking for in that league.
Yeah, I think it was, and I said to Clone Guy, they definitely were not they lost, but they were not the weaker team tonight. They certainly put themselves on the map and did themselves proud.
Nah, I think I do give it to them on the first game. They pulled something out, but yeah, I'm pretty sure most people expected that to be a 3-0 for us tonight. First game threw us off, put us all in a bumble. They had the advantage the first game, but the next 3 games we kind of put it together. And I'm just here to say it. Himmelsdorf Night is our best map.
The worst map that's ever happened? Oh.
It's our best map, and we
that.
can compete with any team on it. I mean, and I'll just put that out there. We can play any team on it, and so, I'm not usually the one to banner in here, but I heard some comments from some of the guys on stream talking about saying we're paying players and that all we need is to recruit super unicums. Pretty sure that was one of the Nightmare guys. I was just going to say I don't appreciate that comment very much. Those guys
off the record and unrelated, if you are paying players, feel free to contact me. Completely unrelated, though.
I heard they were trying to pay their NS players they were trying to bring in there. So, I mean, hey.
Somebody's got to do it.
They might be trying to pay. It was okay when they were wanting to bring NS players in, but now that we got
I'll talk to Tubbins.
Magnum Revered, it's not okay. Yeah, sit me in.
No, but I honestly, I hadn't.
Sorry.
But put me in there. I'm a pretty decent caller. I mean, hey, I might be worth some money. Put me in there.
I'm open to it. No, what I was gonna say is I hadn't played the game in a while. I'd been pretty, disconnected from the scene and everything. Hadn't really been playing, this, that, and the other thing. Besides that, I hadn't, had my finger on the pulse, if you will, and been keeping up to date with teams, and yeah, just hadn't been playing, didn't really care. But Nightmare's actually gotten a lot better, like a lot better than they used to be, and Chief has obviously gotten leagues better. Helps that they pay players, obviously, right?
Yeah, don't tell everybody that. No. Sorry.
Come on, I gotta. No, but I know all the people that play for them. They're all good guys. They, like Dirty and them have always, or Rated and them have always gotten along. Like you and Cruz have been friends for a long time. It's honestly not that weird. And Revere just loves to play, and you guys have always gotten along. Doesn't surprise me at least they're playing with you guys. But like you guys have gotten a lot better, Nightmare's gotten a lot better, and it's good to see teams improve overall because the game had been very stagnant for a long time, with only a couple different players actually ever winning and stuff, and like one team ruling the roost. So it's cool to see that there's some actual competition out, and makes me a lot more interested in playing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you only had to look at WCL3, and pretty much from get-go, it was either NS or AM were going to win, with Immortals as a dark horse for a shout-out.
Unfortunately,
I think realistically, the league that is here, until Asmodeus pulled out his absolute super team of super teams, it was quite an open horse, an open race.
Anarchy joined the dark side.
Nobody asked.
But yeah, I
Nobody
credit.
contact. He was the only one that contacted me. What am I supposed to do? Nobody wanted me to play.
I give all credit to Team Ops. That's what kind of person I am. I don't credit myself as a good caller. I credit it as our team being good. Because as you know, over the past couple months, we've been scrimming top of the line teams. Teams like NS. We've played Immortals a few times. NFTG, NL, and we're not out scrimming. Teams like RNC and stuff like that, like certain teams are. I'll give all credit to our practice. We've took early in the year. We were taking ass kickings from teams, and then we've managed to put it together. And one thing I want to point out is surprisingly, Boxhound, one of our better players, actually plays with about a 3 or 4 second delay. He has like a lag, and he still manages to do that good. So I think not many people would expect that from a player with a lot of lag, but.
Oh yeah.
I don't.
So for those who don't know, just to explain that, Boxhound's download speed is slower than his upload speed.
I remember back when I was in TNG, there was a guy Warlike, if anybody remembers him. He doesn't really play anymore, but he's posted a screenshot one day in the Discord, and he had it was like 13 ms, which is smaller than kilobytes. It's like megasecond or millisecond, yeah, whatever it was. His upload speed or download speed was like 13 ms. And I remember like he posted that, and somebody was like, "Oh, that's actually not that bad." And he's like, "No, that's not megabytes a second. That's ms a second." And I was like, "Oh, that explains why he's always lagging out." But yeah, playing with lag, more power to the people that do that. I honestly think, I don't think this is too forward to say that this should be arguably the most competitive tournament that's happened. I think people are giving our team too much credit. Most of the people haven't played together before. Each team contributed like 4 or 5 players, so it's always going to be a mix mash. A lot of us haven't played in a long time. Like all the Immortals guys, we haven't scrimmed in 4 or 5 months. Same with most of the other guys. So it's really going to be a game if we can get our stuff together. Chief is way ahead of the ball on us.
Well, yeah, I did mention this earlier to Chiefs. I said the best time to play you guys is in the early stages, because as it goes on, you're just going to get stronger. Naturally, as you do, you get your eye more in, you start to gel a little bit more and understand how each other plays.
I think it managed out.
And that's what's scary.
We get you guys middle of the tournament and then the last game of the tournament. So that'll definitely see where we are at the middle of the tournament, both of us, and then the very end, the last game, which I think that will probably determine, if everything goes as planned, that game will probably determine, who has the most points in the game. Because, I think that'll definitely, compete with it. I don't see, we got fairly a couple of easy games coming up over the next few weeks, and then we got you guys. So
also, if you're gonna play us, little pro tip: try to play us late at night. Tubbins is an old man; he gets tired, and those are how you get easy wins.
Yeah, we'll go like 11 Eastern. That'll be like 10 a.m. Magnus time. So
Tubbins will be drooling all over his controller. He'll have no idea what's going on. Be the easiest wins he ever played.
Yeah, shout out to Magna too. He's like 10 hours ahead of us, so he's playing at like 5 or 6 in the morning when we're scrimming. So Magna's a trooper. He's he's staying up scrimming.
Yeah, we have that. We've got, I think, 2 EU guys on our team or something like that play, and it's the same thing. They're playing in god awful times. Not interested. More power to them.
Alrighty. Well, I think it's been a rather successful night. I think we'll wrap this up and leave Dingy and Great to chat amongst themselves and get on with their business. Rated, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations again to Chief. No doubt I will be celebrating with you in our Discord later. But I just want to give a huge thank you to all of you, firstly, who came in and tuned in. Don't forget, Got a Dinghy is going to be one of the main streamers for the GTO Tank League. Always eagerly available for us, and we appreciate that. So don't forget to subscribe to him if you haven't already, because there's going to be a lot more games like the ones you've seen tonight coming through. So Dingy, just like to thank you. I'm Great. Like to thank you as well for modding the room for us tonight. Anarchy, for your input.
Yeah, no problem. And like I said, Rated, it'll be one of the best mods you had, bud.
Yeah, I'm sure as you're running it.
Where'd you get that?
I may or may not have got paid to say this comment, but Clone Guy, next time you want to try and get one of our players banned, make sure it's for more than a day. Y'all have a good night.
See ya.
I'd just like to say that as the leader of Chiefs, I find that comment very distasteful, and we'll be dealing with that later. So
Banning him from streams. Done.
pretty much,
He's lost stream
Rated
privileges.
won't. Yeah, there were a couple of comments in there that are just completely unacceptable.
I'll
You
handle
need a
the
bit
Chief
of
streams
modesty.
from now on.
Exactly. So yeah, just wanted to thank you guys so much for being involved. Anarchy, I know you're still relatively new to it, but you've really thrown yourself into it. And yeah.
I honestly had no intention of playing in this tournament. Like, I was in the Discord months ago when it was still starting up. It was taking too long. I really didn't want to play the game. So I was like, okay, whatever. Left the Discord, stopped playing the game. And then I was contacted about a team that was going to be playing. I was like, sure, I guess. And if I was going to play, I have to know what's going on. So I had to join the Discord again. Proceeded to bug 19 with about as many questions as I could think of. And then he asked me to commentate, so I felt like I at least owed him that much that I could punish him in commentating as well for answering all of my questions. But no, I had fun. It was actually good. Games were interesting.
Yeah, it was a very
Alright.
interesting matchup, to be honest.
It was.
I'll definitely make it a point to try to show up to these more often.
I think I'm going to have to go. I'm getting phone calls from the girlfriend. I think I'm talking too loudly.
Yeah, I've got to.
Tell her I said hello.
3 a.m. my time.
Definitely. Well, thanks for having me. I'm around if you ever need me.
Thanks for commenting.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
No, thank you
anytime.
for having us, Dingy. I do appreciate you having the stream going for us. It's a massive help.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun actually, so I don't mind it.
All right, guys. Well, you guys have yourselves a good night, and I'll speak to you soon.
Good night, all.
Guys. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the subs and follows. Much appreciated. Currently looking up the next GTL stream that I'll be doing. My next personal stream is tomorrow, Tuesday, at 6 Central. If Discord will open up for me, I can get you the thing here. Boop, 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 boop. Let's see, where is it? Tuesday night after my stream, I'll be hosting HN versus Selva. That is at about 9 o'clock p.m. That's Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern. So check it out. Thanks again, everyone, and I will see you next time. Later.